It gives me great pleasure to have with us today Sherry Davis, who is the Vice President of the Inland Empire Film Services. Hi, Sherry.
Hi.
And Dan Taylor, who's President of the Inland Empire Film Services.
Hello.
And as we get through our class in local economic development, I would like to have a little discussion, if I may, on the incredible economic impact that filming in the local economy has.
Right.
And I think people don't really consider the Inland Empire to be a major film spot when people think of Hollywood.
Right.
And
Right.
yet it has a tremendous economic impact in our region.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize that the Inland Empire is probably in the top 5 locations in California for filming.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
That is incredible. So, Sherry, I'm going to ask you, what type of businesses are impacted when a production comes to town?
You know, if you think about anything that you need in your home, in your personal life, we impact those businesses. Everything from gas stations to fast food to uh, hotels to it just think of it, pharmacies, restaurants. It's amazing the type of businesses. I had one show come into Redlands, and the parameters of coming into Redlands is that they wanted everything purchased within the city limits.
Wow.
And they do that quite often. They'll ask you to specifically, because they know that they're an inconvenience often to some of the constituents who live in those communities. And so they want to be good citizens back.
It's true. It's like a good example is there was a film shoot up in the mountains, small community, and there was a local store guy who just did not want the filming. He was upset, he was mad. Production company was trying to talk to him and work it out and make him happy, and he just wouldn't have anything to do with it. So I think it was the production manager went
Yeah.
back to his line producer who manages all the budgets and said, okay, listen, when we pay our crew their per diem that they get for being outside of the LA, pay them all in $2 bills. So he waited like 2 or 3 days, went back to the guy's store, and he goes, oh, what are you guys doing here? You're impeding my business. And he asked the gentleman, how many $2 bills do you have in your cash register? Oh, I got a lot. Why? He goes, and he told him what he did. Next thing you know, that guy was love filming. I gotta have filming. They gotta have it here. He didn't realize that when the crew was off duty, we're no longer working, they patronized the store
We're
and they
tourists.
patronized the local store. They're
We're
tourists, and he didn't realize that. And he didn't realize how much money he really made just by the inconvenience of having the front of a store blocked for a few hours.
Let me guess, was that Johnny's Market?
I couldn't tell you.
I can't tell you. But two stories that impact San Bernardino, the city of San Bernardino. One, we had a big commercial at the stadium, summertime, right?
Uh-huh.
The location manager called to tell me, your ice house is going to love you. We spent thousands of dollars buying ice. All that is frozen water. Think of it, you just sell it and fill it up again and you've got product again, right? And then one of the McDonald's, they went in and the McDonald owner told them, you made, with you all shopping and buying with me, what I would make in a week. With
In
this
one day,
commercial,
right?
with
So
this
we-
commercial house in.
We're having a major impact on the sales tax, but surely many of these crews must stay over for
Oh, they
a day,
do.
a week, or whatever, and that's really going to impact the lodging industry.
Oh, absolutely. And,
Uh-huh.
and we used to have a car from Center Chevrolet, and I know that they're no longer in San Bernardino, but we sold lots of cars for Center Chevrolet because they would see the car from them because we would drive one. And so we've had houses purchased as a result of them coming out here, crews coming out. It's easier, it's more pleasant to live here than in the city, right? So there are benefits that people don't even think about when film crews come.
We know a number of people who shot up in Big Bear, loved it so much they bought a house. There's quite a few people who are in the industry who now own houses in
Oh,
Big
yeah.
Bear just because they happened to be there one weekend to film a commercial.
And so, yeah, and when people think of filming, I think they generally think of feature films, but
Right.
Correct.
I'm hearing from you there's all sorts of other types of filming that take place. You mentioned commercials.
Right. Well, for an example, I had one still shoot. You know, you think of a still shoot, what can they spend? It had a $440,000 budget,
Uh-huh.
right? I mean, that can be a feature, small
Sure.
indie. So the commercials are our big claim to fame, so to
Mhm.
speak, because of the roads and the terrain and the different types of topography. But we get our share of the small features, you know.
Yeah, I would say stills and commercials are probably the bread and butter of the Inland Empire. We get independent features. We get some episodic television, like Veep last year showed up in Lake Arrowhead, I believe it
Right.
was,
Was
and we get a lot of TV reality. Um, Features, not so much, just because most of it stays either in LA or that goes out of state.
Now, I seem to have noticed, of course, I can recognize it from the TV screen,
Sure.
but there seem to be quite a few car commercials
Oh,
filmed
absolutely.
at what seems to me the old Norton Air Force Base or
They
San Bernardino
they love
International Airport.
they love San Bernardino
Correct.
International Airport. They love it. As a matter of fact, our new office is going to be there.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of nice for us to go back with Mike Burrows and everybody
Yes.
that we know,
Uh-huh.
right? But you'll also see a lot of roads, and if you know the desert, then you know where they are,
Right.
So it's I think San Bernardino is probably the most diverse in location looks of
Mhm.
any county. Because they can film in Big Bear and be in the snow and in
Right.
40
They can
minutes
be in
be
the
desert.
Alps
Yes, and then they can be in the desert. Right.
and
Where can you do
filming
that?
some Saudi Arabian scene or something, I
Yes.
suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dan, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your economic report for the fiscal year for the county.
Yeah, 2015-16, we've got the numbers as countywide, it was over $3.8 million from filming. So, no, not three, excuse me, I said it wrong, huh? 33.8. I dropped the three.
Wow.
Yeah, 33.8
I'm
million.
going to say 30.
Yeah, that's
3.8.
that's a lot of money. People don't realize that is a big chunk of change that was spent in just San Bernardino County on filming projects, and that's a conservative number. That number is very conservative.
Yeah. And out of that, I'm pleased to announce that Big Bear had almost 5 million of it
Really?
in a tiny, tiny town. And that I have to give kudos. We love to say, well, it's because of the service we give, because our motto is if you're working, we're working. So they call us Saturday and Sundays, and that's fine because that's what we do. But Big Bear's U.S. Forest Service office, Mark Stamer is the ranger. Scott Evans is the person who helps process the permits. He's got tons of other jobs too. Uh, they have made filming so easy.
Mhm.
So easy. It's remarkable what they've done. And then when you get up into somebody like Clayton Shoemaker at the ski resorts, who really understands it too, it's just a winning combination for Big Bear. And the city is wonderful. The city loves it. So filming's welcome all over the county, which is nice.
Absolutely.
Now, Sherry, sometimes when we've done this face-to-face in live classes, you've come up with a little quiz as to some of the feature films that have featured big here. One that springs to mind, it was a number of years ago, was Desperate Measures, I believe.
Yeah.
That was, I know my wife was in the hotel industry, and she had 40, 50 rooms a night taken up for about 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
So that was a huge impact on the lodging industry, and of course then the city is getting 10% of that in transient occupancy tax, so
Right.
that's really sweet. Care to mention some of the other names
Did
that
you
have...
mention some?
Oh, there's been quite a few. For those who are in the superhero movie fans
yeah.
out there,
Uh-huh.
we've had Iron Man had shot out here. We've had Green Lantern. We've had Thor. There's Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, shot out in the desert of all places. There's been just a number of feature films that have been out there. Seven Psychopaths, shot out in the desert. Next, with Nicolas Cage, shot up in the mountains, both in the Crestline and the Big Bear area.
Oh, that's a funny story about that.
Oh, yeah.
You know how everybody always wants the movie stars? See, we enjoy the movie stars, but we know that the show really depends on the people behind the camera, not in front of it.
Uh-huh.
And so but everybody loves bragging rights. Nicolas Cage was all over Big Bear, and I got so many calls. I thought he was up here filming. He hasn't been in town. He was staying in town, and he shopped in every antique store and gallery. But see, when they're in front of the screen, they look different than when they're on the street passing you, right? They have a totally different persona.
That's right.
I said, he was in your store. Oh, really? Yeah.
Now, the process about going about filming, you need to pull a permit, right?
Absolutely. And what's critical about that is that a lot of homeowners and small businesses think, oh, well, they don't have to pull a permit. They're just going to be here for a little while. The problem with that is if something happens,
Uh-huh.
that production company's insurance can be denied because they broke the law. It's not that costly. It's something that they build in their budgets automatically, automatically. But I want to go back and tell you something that's a fun story that shows you why it's almost better to have your film people that are working film for you outside of a city or a state or a county office because we take calls 24/7. I took a call Christmas Eve one year for the feature film Hidalgo. I took the call from Morocco.
Morocco.
Uh-huh. And the production company said, this is what we need. If you can guarantee us we can get it, we'll come back. I can guarantee you can get it. It was on BLM land. We know the BLM really well. We know what they'll do and not do, right? We know all the rules. And so, yeah, I came back. We had a great shoot with them.
There's been some talk as well. Well, there was some talk a while back where there were these tax credits for film companies, and then I believe they went away. Um, uh, and then people, countries like Canada and those were offering all sorts of incentives to go and
Right.
shoot movies up there and pretend they were in New York or
Right,
Chicago or whatever. Have those credits come back? Has the state legislature seen the
Oh,
wisdom?
yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they have a is it 330 million a year
For
right
5
now
years.
for 5 years, and it's
And it's
it's a
helped.
it's a tax credit and it has helped to bring some filming back. The hard part is that once the film industry leaves and they set up camp someplace else, like in
Yeah.
New Mexico or over in Louisiana,
Uh-huh.
then they're set. They've made a change of location. It's hard to bring those back, but you are able to bring some of it back with incentives. So we won't be able to get everything back, but we are getting some by being able to play in this ball field that we've kind of been out of for a while.
Well, and I had the opportunity to be on that alliance that worked on that. So it was interesting to watch the studios, who it's a mixed bag for them because they're also building studios in other states, right? But they also, this is home for them. So, but it was interesting to watch them dialogue with the electeds and do all of the things they did to get that incentive program. And it has brought some things back, mainly TV, which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But the studios have built studios in other states, and so that's always difficult.
Yeah.
I remember one story you told, Sherry, that I believe it was out in Palm Springs where everybody descended on the city. It was out of season. I think it was in the middle of summer where the hotels are mostly empty. So
Right.
they were very happy to see you filling up their rooms.
Oh, they loved us.
But they all come along with these huge old trailers and RVs and things for everybody and the
You mean all
mother
the
as well.
inconvenience?
But how most of the gas stations ran out of gas for a period of time because these things they're huge gas guzzlers, and of course
Oh, yeah, they
they
are.
Yeah.
filling up with gas, and the sales tax on gasoline was going ching 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 through the roof,
Right,
Right.
right.
and they also descend on Home Depots and things like
Oh, they
that.
love Home Depots
Uh-huh.
and Lowe's. Oh,
There's,
absolutely.
there's always something that has to be fixed or repaired or a set that doesn't look right, so they want to have to rebuild something on the spot. So Home Depot is like their treasure trove of
Right.
trying to find things to fix things up and get things going again. It's just I can't tell you there's a circus prop house outside of
Oh,
Riverside in Harupa Valley, and they have shoots on their property all the time. Well, there's always something that needs to be repaired or fixed when you're dealing with antique or vintage circus things, so that the hardware store around the corner gets thousands of dollars every day whenever a film shoots out there because they're always going in there buying parts and buying uh, you know little clamps and things like that that they need to do to fix something. It's always the case. That hardware store loves that place because they get filming there and they get money.
Well, Sherry, Dan, I'd like to really thank you so much
Of
for
course.
taking the time to come and talk to my class. I know they really do appreciate real life experiences rather than just have a lecture going jabber, 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 jabber. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You obviously both
My
enjoy
pleasure.
what you do tremendously.
we do.
And it's lovely seeing you guys again.
Nice to
and
see you.
thanks for the time.
Thank you.